Miss Bursner?
You were expecting Miss Bursner?
Why, no, no. What an idea. Of course not.
You spoke her name just now.
When?
When I came in, you addressed me as Miss Bursner.
Well, that's her room, you know. What are you doing in there? Well, who are you? What are you doing in here?
Miss Bursner frequently comes through that door.
Frequently?
The night.
No, never. That door is kept permanently locked. Mrs. Gruback keeps the key. Just ask her. Where is she? Does she know about you? Mrs. Gruback!
You were expecting Mrs. Gruback?
No, I'm not expecting anybody, least of all you, whoever the hell you are.
Where are you going?
Well, I think that Mrs. Gruback would like to know that there are strange people wandering around her apartment in the middle of the night.
You were starting in that direction, and that's Miss Bursner's room. Isn't that what you told me?
Yes, it is, and I'd very much like to know what's going on in there.
She isn't there now.
Well, that's not so very surprising. She gets in late sometimes, very late indeed. You are the police.
She gets in very late?
Look, don't go jumping to conclusions.
What conclusions?
Well, the hours they keep in the nightclub are no fault of Miss Bursner's. Look, she'll be home any minute now, and I'm sure she'll be able to answer your questions for herself. You are the police.
What makes you think we want to ask questions of her?
Oh, I have no opinion of it one way or another. It's nothing to do with me. I scarcely know Miss Bursner. Of course, we are fellow lodgers, but that's obvious. Is she in some kind of trouble?
What kind of trouble? Do you imagine we came here to see Miss Bursner?
Well, you certainly didn't come here to see me. Did you? Well, listen, you don't deny anything or affirm anything. You just stand there and stare at me in the middle of my private bedroom at 6:14 in the morning. I don't see why I should put up with it. You haven't even identified it yourself or show me your papers.
Isn't that for you to do?
Oh, no, my papers are in perfect order. Here, see for yourself.
Why don't you finish getting dressed?
For your information, I'm a man of regular habits, and getting dressed at 6:15 in the morning doesn't happen to be one of them. Still, I don't suppose there's any hope of getting any more sleep.
Where are you going?
I take a bath in the morning, if you must know. Why?
If you're reluctant to dress in front of me.
And I dress in the bathroom.
Oh?
Yes.
Why?
Well, it's warm in the bathroom, and it's cold in the hall. Any more questions?
Why would you want to dress in the hall?
Stay here.
Why would you want to get dressed out in the hall?
I don't. But if I did not get dressed in the bathroom after I finished my bath, I'd be obliged to walk down the drafty hall in my silk dressing room right after getting out of a warm tub. I hope you understand.
You said you wanted to get dressed in the hall.
No.
Didn't you?
No.
Okay, have it your way, mister. But what do you want to get all dressed up for anyway? You're not going nowhere. You're under arrest.
You're making a formal charge?
Oh, I couldn't do that, mister.
Just exactly what is it I'm charged with?
You'll have to take that up with the inspector. That was the
Proceedings
inspector who just left.
against you until called for interrogation. You will retire to your room.
I'm in my room.
After, huh?
I'm in my room.
I can't help that, mister.
You got a lot of real nice shirts here, mister.
You leave those shirts alone.
Know something? You do a whole lot better to give them things to us after they're impounded officially and carted off to headquarters. You won't know what happens to them shirts.
There's every kind of crookedness and bribery in them public auctions.
Now, we're your friends.
Sure we are. You ought to give us some of them shirts at least.
Well, it could be a joke, I suppose. Elaborate practical joke by some of my friends in the office.
They're in there.
Who's in there? You're from my office. Who brought you here? The police? These clerks from my office. What have they got to do with it?
Ravenstein, Gillick and camera, right?
Leave those photographs alone.
What's this? Dame.
That's her mother. She was in the profession. Leave her things alone. You especially. Ravenstein, what are you doing here?
The inspector said he thought it'd be sort of more unabusive. They went with you to the office, so nobody would notice.
Unobtrusive is the word you're looking for. Not an abuse. How can I go to the office if I'm under arrest?
That don't need to keep you from working, not at this stage.
He said I'd stay in my room.
He was reading the wrong page.
Well, this obviously isn't anything of any importance. Quite honestly, I can't remember a single offense that could be charged against me. It's obviously a mistake. Something very trivial. But the real question is, who accuses me? Well,
What do you mean?
what authority?
Don't you worry about that, mister.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I'm afraid you won't find any subversive literature or pornography. Don't touch those record albums.
What's this thing?
That's my pornograph. My phone.
What's this?
What's what?
A circular line with 4 holes.
Circular.
No, it's not really circular. It's more ovular.
Don't write that down.
Ovular.
For goodness sake.
Why not?
Ovular.
We can't now write it down just because you say we shouldn't.
Ovular isn't even a word.
You deny that there's an ovular shape concealed under this rug?
He denies everything.
Mrs. Grubach's husband was a dentist. Oh, there she is now. Mrs. Grubach? Mrs. Grubach? This was Dr. Grubach's office.
That don't matter. She can't come in here.
The dental chair was screwed to these 4 places in the floor.
You want some good advice, mister?
Well?
I wouldn't want the others to hear about it.
Oh, now you want money, I suppose. Well, you've got the wrong man.
That's what they all say.
I mean, bribery. I don't happen to believe
Now,
in it.
wait a minute. Have I asked you to give me anything, sir, mister?
No, wait a minute. We're leaving, mister.
You're not going to be one of them troublemakers, now are you?
Mrs. Grubach?
Good morning, Mr. Kay. I've got your breakfast ready.
Listen, ma'am, I wish you'd tell him. If he really doesn't think that he's guilty, well, then he should keep it to himself. See what I mean? At this stage of the game, this kind of thing makes a very lousy impression.
I'm afraid I owe you an apology, Mrs. Grubach.
Oh, no, Mr. Kay.
This is not going to happen again. I can promise you that.
A lot of things happen in this world, Mr. Kay.
Yes.
You're my most valued lodger, Mr. Kay. I think I owe it to you to be frank.
Yes, by all means.
It's your own good I'm thinking of, and I really have that at heart. Perhaps more than I should, after all. I'm only your landlady. Well, I managed to have a few words alone with that inspector.
And?
It seems you are under arrest, Mr. Kay.
Yes, I know that.
But not the way a thief is put under arrest.
No.
No, with your arrest, I get the feeling of something abstract, if you see what I mean.
I say it's so abstract I can't even consider that it applies to me.
Of course not, Mr. Kay. Aren't you going to eat something?
And 2 coming into my room the way they did, well, I simply wasn't prepared. Now, in the office, for instance, I'm always prepared. You can't just crash in on me there, I should say not. People sometimes have to wait for weeks before they can even get into where they can speak to my secretary. No, my mistake was letting them start in on me before I even had a cup of coffee.
Coffee is always ready on the stove, Mr. Kay. I keep it there for Miss Burstner. When she gets in from work, such ungodly hours she keeps.
Well, that's her profession.
I suppose so.
The hours they keep in that nightclub are no fault of Miss Burstner's.
Perhaps not. Do you think I ought to offer those men some coffee?
What men?
The ones from your office. They're still in there.
In Miss Burstner's bedroom? My God, I thought you'd left. What are you doing here? Julie Kaminer. Rabenstein. Put those pictures back where you found them.
Here's some coffee for the gentleman.
No, Mrs. Grubach. These people are not friends of mine. They came with the police and they should have left with the police. Please be good enough to show them to the door.
Yes, Mr. Kay. This way, gentlemen.
What are you anyway? Informers? What would you have to inform about?